Well, over at Cactus High School, not a new name, not a new face. It's just a different position, really. Brian Bell is taking over the head coaching reins. And, you've been a part of the program since 1999. This is actually your second stint as the head coach of the Cobras, doing a couple of games back in 2014 when Coach Larry Feckenheimer had to have some cancer surgery to take care of some things. And so stint number 2, basically, for you, part of the Cactus Cobras. And back here, part of the head coaching group. And, I kind of want to go into what happened back in 2018 when Coach Feckenheimer left the program. Coach Ortiz jumped in, and you again jumped in as the defensive coordinator of this program after leaving for a year. But like I said, you've been around since 1999. The opening happened in 2018, and you have never actually applied for a head coaching position before. So I'm curious, what makes this year different? Why do you feel like now is the right time to become a head coach than any other time in your career so far?
Well, I think, obviously in 2017, the year I was gone, I went to go coach with Steve out at Hamilton. But after that whole transgression occurred, I wasn't in the right frame of mind, I think, at that point to think that I wanted to even try and lead a program. I knew I was going to continue coaching, but I had no idea where. But Cactus has always been my home. My wife teaches there. My youngest daughter currently is a junior. My eldest daughter has graduated from there. Coach Ortiz called me after he got the job and asked if I would want to come back. And, for me, it was kind of a no-brainer with all that other stuff in place. It's funny because all of the people that applied for the job, I talked to all of those people that were lined up for interviews. I talked to each of them for about an hour about the job. They all seemed to want to call me and know the ins and the outs and all that stuff. But I never really had any ambition of applying back then, just because of everything that I saw my uncle go through at Hamilton. I was just happy to continue doing what I was doing, running a defense. So here we are.
Typically, when a new head coach comes in, sometimes the entire staff, brand new to help out the head coach and what they're comfortable with. You being part of this program for so many years, regardless of that little blip when you weren't here or not, of course, Coach Ortiz called you in, someone who'd been a part of this program for years. Now, you as head coach, how different does this coaching staff look from last year into this year?
I mean, honestly, our staff is in place. 2 coaches that were on our staff last year went with Coach Ortiz, but everybody else is staying. So that was one of the things that was, I'm very fortunate. A lot of head coaches aren't coming in and trying to install, new coaches and stuff like that. I don't have to do that. Most of my defensive staff is in place. Eric Wright's our safeties coach. He'll continue in that role. Coach Ledesma is our D-line coach. He'll stay in that role. And then on the offensive side of the ball, we have Coach Crossland, who he was our offensive coordinator last year. Young kid that's got a lot of talent, knows a lot about the game at a very young age, knows a lot more than I did when I was his age. He called half the plays last year, and he's going to call our offense this year.
And another great group of returners to the Cobras is last year returning all 22 starters. Now, you guys lost some spectacular pieces on defense who put a lot of life into the Cobra defense, but you guys still return so many key pieces, whether it's quarterback, running back, offensive line, defensive line, into their not just senior, but some of them junior season. So when you look at how many roster spots and starters you are returning, but how do you take that into the 5A conference now as well?
I mean, I think the biggest deal for us is going to be depth. We only have, we're under 1,200 as a school, 1,200 students as a school, and now we're going to be competing on a weekly basis with schools that have around 2,000 and maybe even higher than that. We were able to do it last year, but we only had to play, I think, 2 or 3 5A teams. Now we're going to have to do it every week. So, that's my biggest concern is, the numbers game that we have. So we have a lot of key guys coming back. They're hungry. It's just going to be a matter of putting those kids in the right position to be successful, which I think we do a pretty good job of here on our staff. And, we're excited to move into that 5A and see if we can, compete with some of these other teams.
And I know, like you said, depth is going to be something that you have to overcome. Being a much smaller school and moving up into the 5A conference even if the number was around like 1,600, 1,700, it's still a big move when you jump those conferences because they are so based on enrollment still, based on how the AIA sets it up. But in what other ways do you think that you guys need to jump hurdles in order to be competitive and try to go and get a 5A state championship next year?
Well, I think every division that you hop up, I think the key is line play. And, we have to develop our offensive and defensive lines to compete at that level, which is a big emphasis of what we're trying to do now with our younger guys and get them ready for what they're about to deal with here, in the next season. So that's going to be the biggest jump, I think, for us, is just having to deal with offensive and defensive lines that are, bigger, stronger, faster kids. So that's what we got to work on.
And the West Side has so much energy to it. And I can't wait for Cactus versus Peoria again, where it's Bellis and Golden, because these are two head coaches who know so much about the tradition of the rivalry still, but they're brand new head coaches at the very least for both programs. And you look at what Doug Clapp did for the West Valley. You look at what Larry Feckenheier did for the West Valley and how those coaching trees essentially make up almost the entire West Valley football scene now as head coaches. So as you were able to work with Larry Feckenheier for almost all of your years here in high school football in Arizona, I mean, how do you see those branches evolving in the way that you see other head coaches now and this kind of a fraternity, if you will, of West Valley coaches that have grown up?
Yeah, I think there is a good coaching fraternity out here. Jason Golden, who's at Peoria now, like you've mentioned, he was our defensive coordinator in 2002 and 2003. So I was his DB coach, and we have a lot of good memories together. We're still friends, which I don't know if we can say the same about Coach Feckenheier and Coach Clapp. I know there were a lot of years of animosity back in the day, but Jason and I have a great relationship. And there's a ton of coaches out here on the West Side that we're a part of that coaching tree. Coach Stangler at Willow Canyon. Coach Carter, who used to be at Sunrise, then went to Millennium, and then he was out at Willow Canyon. Those guys were all on staff. Rich Wellbrock was our offensive line coach on a varsity when I started coaching here in 1999. Now, obviously, he's made a career out of it, and now he's at Tolleson. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people I know because of the people that I've worked with at Cactus. So it's crazy. The Carter brothers at Desert Edge, they're another Cactus group. I mean, we're all over the place now. So it's fun to see.
Can't wait to see what you do with Coach Brian Bellis, head coach of the Cactus Cobras. Appreciate the time, and hey, best of luck this spring and heading into summer.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Devin.